Todd Shapiro Show. Canada Laughs. SiriusXM 168.
How are things going over there at Tweed Inc. and over at Canopy Growth? How's everything?
It's a big week, man. It's a big week, and in fact, it's a big week for Quebec. In fact, just yesterday, we announced our a supply deal with the Quebec future cannabis stores, and we just inked a supply deal to supply them with 12,000 kilograms of cannabis every year for the next few years as they roll out legalization. So it's pretty exciting news. We're going to be selling a lot of cannabis in Quebec.
Wow, that's great. To be able to say that in public on the radio, isn't that fun?
It is.
Just like 2 years ago, I'm going to be selling 12,000 kilograms of cannabis. What the hell? Get off me. Why am I in handcuffs?
Yeah, I'm more liable to get in trouble about that parking ticket stuff.
Seriously.
Oh man!
Funny story. I was just in St. John's 2 weeks ago, and a friend of mine who works for the provincial government showed me the site of there's a new Canopy facility going there, right?
Yeah. Well, we're building a production facility there, and what's also cool is we'll be able to have 4 Tweed branded stores in Newfoundland. So we're going to have like our own Tweed retail going on in St. John's.
Cool. So it's been decided. The provincial in Newfoundland and Labrador, they decided how they're going to do it.
Yeah, Newfoundland Labrador is going to be it's going to be sort of a hybrid system. So you'll have some private shops and you'll have government shops as well.
Oh, cool.
Contrast that with like Quebec, which it'll just be the SRQ that does the weed, just like the LCBO does in Ontario.
Sure.
And then as you move through the prairies and the West Coast, you see more of like a hybrid. They're more comfortable with private sales out there too. So you'll see government and private.
It's an exciting time because I have my SAQ. The SRQ, customer fidelity thing there. I'm going to get points on buying weed. It's the most amazing thing. Imagine that. Like, if the points were transferable, I could be renting a car because of my weed habit. It's amazing. I
think the HBA's cardholders should actually petition for that because we're not going to be able to do that with cannabis. They're very afraid of any kind of thing that's at all promotional, even though they're super comfortable promoting the shit out of alcohol and gambling.
Right.
We're not going to be able to have like a capped SB for the weed.
That's too bad.
Not at least, not year one, anyways. Yeah.
Back to the 12,000 kilos in Quebec. What is that? How many grams is 12,000 kilos?
Dude, it's 12 million grams. And I was thinking about this. Like, I remember a time when I thought 3.5 grams was a ton of weed. I remember when I was a teenager and I pulled $40 together somehow, and I bought 1/8 of an ounce, and I was a narco trafficker, at a 3.5 gram little bag, and with these supply deals that keep going on, and just like frankly, just being around Tweed and all the weed that we're growing, like the quantities boggle my mind.
I remember
on a daily basis.
Well, listen, when I was fortunate enough to go through when I hosted your event up there. And did a tour at Smith Falls at the Tweed facilities there. I just opening the doors to some of the rooms where you're growing, and then it was interesting to get the smell was more of an incense smell. One of the things I didn't realize that more of that weed smell you're used to doesn't really happen until you start to burn the plant. So it was actually like a very very pleasant kind of like, can you make that an incense? I want to plug that in and smell that. That was awesome. I think that's next, Tweed incense, for air room fresheners. But
the fresh weed scratchy sniff.
Yeah, we need some of that. But more just
know about those.
But just opening the door and watching the amount of plants being grown there. And thinking to myself, really, and again, not to sort of think of it in this stigma sort of way, but that was something you would only kind of see in a movie back in the day where it was something illegal. Like it was for a moment there, it was hard to comprehend. Do you get that reaction from people a lot?
Oh yeah, I mean, people who come through the facility are always just blown away by the scale. Most of them have never seen a cannabis plant in their lives, so there's a sort of a mysterious element around that. And then on top of that, most of them have never even seen a gram of cannabis, let alone a room that's going to churn out 50 kilograms of it. So 50 or 100 kilos. So it knocks people over.
It's kind of a beautiful plant too. Like when you see it, it's like a beautiful plant.
It's so beautiful. It's an awesome plant to grow. It's super fun to grow. I mean, it's fun to grow at home. Like, it's going to be cool that people are allowed to grow 4 plants in their backyard because, man, like, it's just an awesome ornamental plant. Like, if I were a gardener, I'd want to just have one in there just because it looks nice.
Yeah, and that's sort of where I was getting at. Like, aesthetically, it's a very, it's a nice, it's a nice little addition to the yard.
Totally.
Now that it's legal, people will be doing little pot bonsai trees and stuff. Chopping them down, little dwarf.
It's in the new Karate Kid movie, actually. It's great.
Wax on. Who cares?
Okay. Did you now we'd spoken in the past, and I know there was a situation that was happening, which sort of I thought was really cool. The Senators were going to go and tour those Smith Falls, and not the team. That's what I thought originally was the hockey team, but actual senators who work in the government for this great country of ours. Did that happen?
Yeah. We had the first wave of we had a group of independent senators come through. It was very cool. The Senate's in the process of studying the Cannabis Act as we speak, so it was really great to get some sort of face time with the decision makers, and again, like, just expose them to like the vastness and the professionalism of our production facility, and really just impress upon them that, like, the cannabis industry is not. We're here to help, and we're good people, and we're doing this for the right reasons in the right way. And it was really awesome. It was eye-opening for a lot of them. And, again, many of whom, like, don't really have certainly any first-hand experience with cannabis. They may have just read about it or heard about it, and they know what they know about it from what they read in the news. And, it's always like an eye-opening thing. I recall there was at one point in the tour where they were asking us about, like, the weird names that we have for some of the strains, and generally, why they're called what they are, and I had to explain that it's like, they thought that, for example, like, we have a strain called Candyland, and they thought that was, like, very appealing to young people, until I told them that it's actually a plant that, it actually smells and tastes like a green Skittle, and it's not meant to appeal to youth. It's really just like a naming convention that people who grow plants use all the time, So, like, you think of beefsteak tomatoes and bell peppers and, like, all the crazy names you have for hot peppers. Like, if you've ever met anybody who grows hot peppers, they're just as crazy and passionate as weed growers are, and so that was one of those, like, eye-openers.
Just their farts stink more. Those pepper growers.
Yeah, it's true. They fart fire.
What are some other unique names that you could find over at Tweed Main Street?
Over Tweed Main Street, well, we've got CBD Skunk Haze, which is Penelope. We've got Argyle. We got Baker Street. Herringbone is a new one we put out. That's a Ken's Kush. That's like in the high 20s in terms of THC. We got a lot of cool ones. Another one, we don't carry this in Tweed Main Street, but the funniest strain name that I've heard lately is one called Where's My Bike? I thought that was just one of the funniest strain names I've ever heard. Like, it's like a new convention in naming strains. Usually it's like Kush this or, Chocolope that or Lemon Skunk, etc. But, like, yeah, Where's My Bike? And
how can we forget about Bodie McBoatface?
Oh, Bodie, that's a classic. Yeah. Boatface. That's just that's the name that'll have legs forever.
The Wizard joins us, Adam Greenblatt from Canopy Growth in Ontario. Here, one of the announcements that we saw this week was the LCBO model, which will sort of be carrying and dispersing legal marijuana, is also going to be now used, which partnered with Shopify, and that the Shopify will deliver you your weed. Now, is that are you guys associated with Shopify too currently?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool that we've kind of like helped break Shopify in for the LCBO to jump in. Like we use Shopify as our platform as well for Tweed Main Street. And yeah, I mean, they've got a really good track record of knowing how to sell weed on the internet. And the bonus that, I guess the change with the LCBO is that Shopify will also be their like point of sale system. So like the cash registers will also be running Shopify for like the whole customer service thing. What it really is, what's really cool about that is just like Shopify's a big company. They're a serious company, and it's just representative of, how serious the cannabis industry is and how mainstream it is and how,
Well, listen, between Constellation Brands, BMO being, doing a big raise with you guys, and Shopify, I think it's completely legitimate. At least it is in my mind, and I'd be amazed by some people who still don't think it is.
It's crazy. It's huge. It's going to be a huge industry. It's awesome that I just started building my portfolio, and I'm just buying only weed companies. It's amazing.
It's amazing how the cannabis stocks have made so many pot people all of a sudden very financially literate.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I gave the stock market no mind. I did not think of it at all prior to the medical marijuana industry taking off. I had really paid it no attention. And now, I talk to people. I talk to cannabis activists. I talk about there's all kinds of people who are invested in the cannabis industry, and it's awesome because it shows that there's broad support for it. But also in a way, it's really democratized cannabis because you really get to vote with your dollars in terms of who you're investing in.
Well,
and that's we've never had that in the weed world ever.
No, exactly. And, Adam, one of the things I always remind anyone listening is obviously always do your own due diligence and always, make sure you're informed with this stuff. But you're right. Part of the investment game is also, understanding finances a little bit better, speaking the lingo a little bit better. And it even if it's a tiny amount of money and you find out the company that might be right for you, it's at that point you speak a different lingo when you're out at night. And it helps. It helps your own investment into other people. It helps your own profile because people don't want only to partner with one-trick ponies. They want to know guys or ladies who are well-rounded. Right. And sort of getting slowly into that industry is something that really is important for all. And I've always preached that it's something that should be in curriculum at a young age, not just trust fund babies or private schools. This is something that should be taught in public school, learning about your finances young so you can learn to be financially responsible and also learn how to maybe take the odd risk here and there, but a calculated one.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about that. It's about just getting kids more prepared for the real world a lot sooner, as opposed to when they're finishing university and have a shit ton of student debt
and not even realizing the interest they were paying on that.
Right. I'm still financially ignorant, so my kids are screwed. They're not learning anything from me. Dad, why do you have so many lottery tickets on the counter? Shut up! It's your future.
That's an RSP. Well, Adam, I love these catch-ups. Please say hi to Shaggy Youngson for us, and it's so great to just sort of be, so informed by the ones who are the leaders on the planet doing what you're doing, which is medical cannabis, and now as we get closer towards legalization, showing us, just the depth beyond. Not just the personalities in the company, but the company itself and where they're going in this country and beyond. So thank you again.
Thank you, guys. Love talking to you. Cheers, and yeah, Derek, when you're back in Montreal, look me up. Let's have lunch.
Will do, man. Thank you so much.
All right, bye, guys.
Keep up the good work.
The Todd Shapiro Show, Canada Laughs, SiriusXM 168.